Chapter 7. Betrayal in the Ranks. Detective Lena Walsh sat at her desk, the precinct's fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The atmosphere was unusually subdued, with officers moving quietly through the halls, the weight of unspoken tension hanging thick in the air. Lena's laptop sat open in front of her, displaying the files Marcus had provided. The evidence painted a damning picture of the Rossi family's operations, but it was one file in particular that gnawed at her. A list of transactions, payments made to an anonymous account linked to someone in the police department. Lena leaned forward, her eyes narrowing as she studied the numbers. The payments were too large, too frequent to be anything other than bribes. And the timing matched key moments in her investigation. Missed leads, leaked intel, sudden roadblocks. The mole had been working against her from the start. Her chest tightened as she scrolled through the account details. The final transaction confirmed what she had feared. The name tied to the account wasn't just anyone in the precinct. It was Daniels. Daniels was one of Lena's colleagues, a veteran officer with a reputation for being dependable, if unremarkable. He had been in the precinct longer than Lena, and while they weren't close, she had trusted him. Now that trust felt like a knife in her back. Lena closed the laptop and sat back, running a hand over her face. She couldn't confront him directly, not yet. If Daniels realized she was onto him, he could warn the Rossi family, and everything she and Marcus had been working toward would unravel. Her phone buzzed on the desk, pulling her out of her thoughts. It was Marcus. "Lena," he said, his voice low and urgent, "we've got a problem." "What now?" she asked, already grabbing her jacket. "I just got a message. Another warning. They're not subtle anymore," Marcus said. "I think they're getting ready to move." "Where are you?" Lena asked, her pulse quickening. "At the apartment," he said. "But I'm not staying here. It's not safe." "Good," Lena said. "Stay on the move. I'll call you when I have a plan." Lena met Marcus at an empty parking lot an hour later, her car idling as she waited. When he finally arrived, his hood was pulled low, and his eyes darted nervously around the area. "You look like hell," Lena said as he climbed into the passenger seat. "Feel like it too," Marcus muttered. "They're closing in, Lena. I can feel it." "Because they are," she said. She handed him a printout from the files. "Daniels. He's the mole." Marcus stared at the paper, his face pale. "You're sure?" "Positive," Lena said. "He's been feeding them information for months. Every time I hit a wall in this case, it's because of him." Marcus let out a bitter laugh. "Great. So we can't trust anyone." "We don't need anyone," Lena said firmly. "Just you and me, and this." She held up a USB drive containing the files Marcus had provided. "This is enough to bring them down. We just need to make the right move." Marcus shook his head. "What's the point, Lena? Even if we take down Dominic, there's always someone else waiting to take his place." Lena's jaw tightened, but she didn't look at him. "Maybe, but if we don't fight, they win. Every time." Back at the precinct, Lena kept her head down, pretending to work while her mind raced. Daniels was in the bullpen, chatting casually with a group of officers as though he didn't have blood on his hands. Lena clenched her fists, forcing herself to stay calm. Confronting him here would do more harm than good. She needed a plan. "Walsh?" A voice interrupted her thoughts. She looked up to see Captain Briggs standing by her desk. His expression was unreadable, but there was an edge to his tone. "In my office. Now." Lena followed him, her stomach twisting as she stepped into the cramped office. Briggs closed the door behind her, his eyes narrowing. "You want to tell me what's going on?" he asked. Lena crossed her arms, meeting his gaze. "You'll have to be more specific." "Internal Affairs is asking questions," Briggs said, "and Daniels has been acting cagey. If there's something I need to know—" "There is," Lena interrupted. "Daniels is the mole. He's been feeding the Rossi family intel." Briggs's eyes widened, but he recovered quickly. "You're sure about this?" "I have the proof," Lena said. "Bank transfers, timestamps, It all lines up. Briggs leaned back in his chair, exhaling sharply. If you're right, this could blow the department apart. It already is, Lena said. Daniels has been sabotaging us for months. We can't afford to wait. We need to bring him in. Briggs studied her for a moment, then nodded. I'll handle Daniels. But Walsh, if you're wrong about this... I'm not, Lena said, her voice hard, and we don't have time to play it safe. That night, as Lena drove home, her phone buzzed with another text. This one was from an unknown number. You're too close. Back off. She stared at the message, her jaw tightening. The Rossi family was playing their games, but she wasn't about to fold. Lena pulled into her driveway and turned off the engine, but she didn't get out. She sat in the car, gripping the steering wheel as her mind raced. The Rossi family had their hooks in everything, and every move she made felt like stepping into quicksand. But she wasn't going to stop. Not now. Not ever.